Okay, we'll get started in a few minutes. Let's have everybody find a seat. And if you haven't already, we have agendas at the entryway. And on this agenda, it has our list of presenters and a map of the fire on the back so you can follow along with our operations update. Kick it off. Okay, I'm showing just after 6 o'clock. So first off, I want to thank you all for coming on behalf of Northwest Incident Management Team 2. And we are here managing the fire and picking up the good work that Northeast Incident Management Team 2 did to set us up for success. First off, just a little housekeeping here. Like I said, there's agendas. They are in the entryway, so if you'd like an agenda, I'd ask you to go pick one up. And also, our emergency exits are out where we came in. There's emergency exits out in the front and off to the side to our right. Also, bathrooms are all the way in the back if you go out through the entryway, and you will see signs for restrooms if you already don't know where it is. But anyways, thank you for coming, and we're really pleased to put on this community meeting to have some in-person interface with the communities here. So we appreciate your attendance. And also, we are filming this online. It's being streamed on our Facebook page. So I want to say hello to the online audience as well. Thanks for attending. So today, my name is Jacob Welsh. I'm a Public Information Officer for Northwest Incident Management Team 2, and I will be emceeing this meeting. We will also hear an operational update from Terry Walter, and he is the Operations Section Chief for Northwest Team 2. And following our operational update, we will hear a fire weather forecast and a briefing from our incident meteorologist, and that's Matt Callahan. And a little bit of a team perspective after that, and that's coming from our incident management, incident commander for the team, Chris Hutzel. And following that, we're going to open the floor to our agency administrators, and that would be Chief Busey from the local fire department, Stevens County Fire District Number 1, and also Adina Sellers, and she is from the Director of Emergency Management here for Stevens County. And also Pat Ryan, he's the Regional Manager for the Northeast region of the Washington DNR, Department of Natural Resources. And after that, we also will have from the Red Cross, Glenn Lockwood come up and present. So I'm going to ask you all during the presentation, if we save all of our questions till the end, we'll have a question and answer session. So save your questions till the end of the presentation. And then after the Q&A, we will also be around. So if you want to ask us questions one-on-one, we are available for that. So without further ado, we'll bring Walt up here, Terry Walter. He's our Operations Section Chief, and he will give you an update on the current situation.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Terry Walter, Ops Section Chief for PNW2 here. To give you kind of the operational perspective on this fire, we do have personnel on this fire 24 hours a day. We're doing 2 separate shifts, a day shift and a night shift. And so we do have folks out there patrolling around, working 24 hours a day. So I'm just going to start by pointing off on the map here, this west side. Our division Mike has been working that, and they're mopped up about 50 feet in, almost all the way up to this area. And so it's looking really good. There is still heat in there. They're still removing fuel, mopping up, taking action to cool that down, but it is looking good. When you get up the tower up here, a retardant drop from Sunday kind of made it a dirty burn, so they're trying to clean up in there, so it's taken a little bit longer, and they're mopping that up, securing it, removing the fuel. When we get up to the north end here, you can see this line is dozer line, so we've got dozer line out there, and then we've gone in and went direct on the fire's edge all the way across in each one of these spots. And we're continuously still picking up some spots up there. We picked up one today, and but we've got it lined. We've got folks in there taking the heat out of it, trying to get hose lays into it and all that. So being successful in the actions there. As we come down the east side, it's kind of a broken record. Got good line in there. We're mopping up, we're taking the heat out of it, we're working in deeper, been doing some saw operations, taking down some hazard trees along the roads, looking very well on that whole east side. As we come down to the southeast corner here, this area does have some heat up in the rocks, and it's very difficult for our folks to get up there, so we're letting it work its way through the rocks. So there is fire backing off the hill there. We do have folks down in the area watching it, and as it comes down, we do have line in there, and we do have a spot where we can take action once it gets to us. So that is an area that we are monitoring and watching. As we come down this area, it's looking really good. Again, mopping up, got engines in there behind folks' houses, and doing a lot of work in there. So you probably saw a little heavier smoke today. This southwest corner has been giving us a lot of fits, and what we've done is we put in hand line down here to shorten the amount of area that's going to burn. This morning when we got out there, before we were able to start burning, the fire did slop over our line. We were able to get that lined and secured, and then the fire kind of was chasing us down, working down the hill. And so we brought fire down to secure that. We've been burning that all day, and they've turned the corner. They're about ready to tie it in and seal that off. Now, it did get a little warm today in there, so we called in the tools that we had with our disposal. So we brought in the air tankers and the scoopers and the helicopters, and we really put the hurt to it. So any slop overs that we did get across our line, they're all contained. They're working it. We're put some extra crews in there tonight to work on that all night long. So we're looking good at this time.
Okay, thanks, Walt. And once again, the operations map is on the back of the handout. And Walt will be around to answer some questions with the Q&A and even after that. So next up, we'd like to invite Matt Callahan, and he is our incident meteorologist. Basically, he gives us weather every day, and so he's going to talk about the weather outlook on this matrix here. So welcome, Matt.
Thank you. Again, my name is Matt Callahan. I'm an incident meteorologist with the National Weather Service office, Pendleton, Oregon. So close to home, but not necessarily in northeastern Washington. So thank you for having me. We're going to go on a quick weather journey, right? So this started on the 19th, so we're going to go to the 18th. During that day, we did see those afternoon humidities dip down into the mid-teens, highs in the low 90s, southwest winds around 10 miles an hour sustained with gusts reaching around 20. On the 19th, when the fire started, we actually saw things slightly improve. Those RHs were between 20-25% in the afternoon. We also saw those temperatures dipping down a little bit as well into the upper 80s to low 90s. Those winds stayed the same, though, out of the southwest, 10, gusting 20. And now, since then, things have improved. We've experienced some good overnight humidity recoveries, especially last couple of days, not necessarily last night, but before then, we actually saw those overnight humidities in the morning reach between 90 and 100%. So that's really good when we're thinking, humidity, right? As we continue, though, we have been pretty dry. Month to date, we're about 4 degrees above normal for this time of year, and precip-wise, we're about a ½ inch drier for the month. Year to date, we're about half, so we're about down about 9 inches for the entire year, and temperature-wise, we're still above average, around 4 degrees of normal. So a little warmer, and obviously a little drier than what we're normally used to in this type of area. So as we continue today, we did see those afternoon humidities continue to dip down into the low 20s. Highs reached into the low 90s. And we also saw some breezy winds out of the southwest, a little inversion set up, so very low, calm winds, very diurnally driven, meaning they're essentially downsloping because hot air rises overnight, and then that becomes more upslope as temperatures warm through the afternoon. So we did experience that, little breezy winds out of the southwest through the afternoon, around 10 miles an hour, with gusting around 20. We'll see those winds increase a little bit tomorrow. So we'll see those winds around sustained still out of the southwest, 10 miles an hour. That inversion will break a little bit too. So usually in the morning, very early, very calm winds. That's going to break a little earlier tomorrow around 9 a.m. So we'll start to see those winds increasing through the morning out of the southwest. And then through the afternoon, they'll be peaking, really around 1 to 7 p.m. We'll see those winds out of the southwest around 10 miles an hour and gusting to up to 20, 22 miles an hour. So a little breezier tomorrow, and the humidities will be fairly similar. Temperatures will be cooler though. We won't be dipping into the 90s. We'll be staying into the mid to upper 80s. Things will stay the course as we take a look at the weather matrix. Temperatures are going to stay in the mid to low 80s. So really we're looking at anything above 90 degrees being pretty warm and drying things pretty quickly. We will also experience those southwesterly winds and afternoon humidity still hovering in the mid to low 20s. Also something to note is these max humidities. Those are the morning overnight recoveries. So those are also trending slightly downward as well. We'll be seeing those into the mid to upper 60 percentile as we continue through the weekend. As you notice, early next week, a little more red. So that really, what we're looking at is these specific criteria down here that's going to be more conditions for burning, essentially. So there are going to be some thresholds that, weather thresholds that we set into place. So what we're really looking at this matrix is several of these categories being red. That's obviously going to be a concern. Not necessarily one, not necessarily two, but when we start seeing 3, 4, 5 of those categories being red, things are aligning and all pointing to very dangerous burning conditions weather-wise. So the good thing to take away from this is we're not seeing a whole lot of those days being a lot of red. But one thing we are seeing is that trend downward, especially as we go into the early part of next week. What we're going to experience is a little bit of an upper level ridge to our southeast. What that means is we're going to see low winds, which is good, but warming and drying conditions because those wind directions will be coming out of the east. So that'll be kind of more continental an air mass versus a more maritime air mass. So that's going to bring us a lot drier conditions. So those afternoon humidities will be dipping down, especially after Sunday going into Tuesday. That's when we're expecting those to really be bottoming out into the mid to upper teens. Those temperatures will also be ramping up as well into the mid 90s. So it is going to be warm. It is going to be dry. The good news is the winds look to be not bad. Sustained winds are actually going to be trending downward, so looking like around or below 10 miles an hour as we go through that period. That's one thing that is kind of the silver lining when we see a ridge. Usually we don't have a whole lot of those high winds associated with that ridge. One thing to note though, that ridge will be breaking down. So you notice a probability of lightning that does start to increase Wednesday and looking into Thursday. That is also going to continue to increase. So we do have the potential of experiencing some isolated thunderstorms Wednesday and Thursday, and then things kind of slacken off and get a little, as the weather gets a little bit more benign and more zonal. What that really means is we see not a whole lot of weather systems coming in. That just means a little more quieter period as we proceed through the rest of the work week and into the weekend. Looking even further out, it obviously becomes pretty difficult to project or predict the future, especially when we're looking a week, 2 weeks out. So what we shift is more probabilities. So we're expecting those above normal temperatures to continue through the next several weeks, through August, and even into September. So the chance of that continuing is good, is better than 50%. In terms of precip, that's the one thing that's kind of wavering a little bit. We do, over the next 14 days, we're expecting a little bit more precip than normal, which is good because we've been pretty dry over the last several weeks. But beyond that, things get a little uncertain, mainly because of the weather patterns. So we're not necessarily seeing one trend over another with weather patterns coming in and bringing a whole lot of precip. It's not really trending one way or another outside of that 4-week period. So thank you. If you guys have any questions after the meeting, please come and see me. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. And next up is Chris Hutzel, and he's our incident commander.
Thank you, Jacob. Good evening, everyone. Chris Hutzel, Incident Commander with Northwest Team 2. And just to, I have to put the trainee behind that because I'm not truly the qualified, and I'd like to introduce John Zolk in the back, who is the qualified Incident Commander. But he entrusts me to come up here in front of you folks and speak the truth and inform you what we do. So if you're familiar with the incident management teams, Northwest Team 2 is a national incident management team that travels around the country helping with large-scale incidents. We're one of 45 teams in the nation at this time. But the majority of our members, we have roughly 120 members on our team, but majority of us are from the Northwest. We're from Washington State. We're from Oregon. A lot of us are from these local areas as we've grown up through our careers in the fire service. So we have a lot of that local knowledge of these different communities. And I want to say thank you for allowing us to come in, be a part of your community, and to help with this incident that you've had. As I talked, this fire started on the 19th and took a pretty aggressive run and overwhelmed the local resources rather quickly. The incident management team that was here before us, they did a great job of doing the things they could with the resources they had. But knowing that this was going to be a large incident and had a potential for duration, they asked one of the national teams to come in and assist, and that's where we came in. So our team came in on Monday. We shadowed and briefed with the outgoing team, and we took command of the fire on Tuesday. And what that means is, all that really means is we just changed command. It had different leadership, but we brought people like Walt who have a high-level knowledge of suppressing fires in the wildland. We brought in the ability to bring in additional resources that can help us with this fire. So currently we have resources from Washington State Mobilization, Washington DNR, Forest Service. We've got BLM crews, and then a lot of contract crews. And that's just to name a few. So a lot of this takes that coordination and cooperation across all the agencies to how we come to these incidents and help each other out and take care of this. I want to say that I've appreciated working with Chief Boosie from Fire District 1 and Pat from Washington DNR. They've been great hosts, and they've allowed us the opportunity to do things that we need to do. And I'm gonna sew this up a little bit because I know I'm wondering, what does the weather mean about the fire and where it currently is? So like Walt said, crews have been able to get out there and put in these control lines and work these control lines over these last few days to ensure that the fire doesn't move out of the current footprint. Now, when we talk about the burn operation that we had this morning, that was to allow us to put in a control line and put it in an area that we could get resources to and able to suppress that. So as we move forward with these weathers, the anticipated weather that's coming in, it's important for us to continue working to secure those edges and ensure that the fire is going to stay in its current footprint. We're still going to have areas that are going to back down into those lower slopes or out of those rocky areas where we can't get, but we're prepared to take action when the fire does get there. So it's really about orchestrating. So as we pay attention to the weather, we want to make sure that we're getting our control lines in the depth that we need on the mop-up, so that as that warmer air comes in and the lower RH comes in and potential winds, so there isn't a threat for this fire to move. We talk about some interior, when fire burns on the inside or interior islands, That's, interior of the fire. Those are areas that didn't burn previously, but the conditions are getting right and it's inside. So it's going to put up smoke every so often. A lot of times when you have a fire in your area, you'll have smoke interior for weeks afterwards because it hasn't had time or hasn't had people to go in there and suppress it, but it's not a threat. It's on the, inside the fire line. So we truly focus on controlling our fire lines, ensuring that the fire is not going to move, and taking care of any of those problem areas that we can anticipate with weather coming in. So I just wanted to put kind of the little wrap around it all there, and I'm going to let our agency administrators talk. Chief.
Thanks, Chris. Mike Busey, your fire chief for Fire District 1. Sometimes apparently better known, if you follow us on Facebook now, as the evil Freemason terrorist that starts these fires. So I could get you all to move into the city. So what are you going to do? Anyway, I want to give you a little history of this incident, our role in it. But first question, what's an agency administrator? My role, and you're going to hear from Pat Ryan from DNR here shortly, but my role is your advocate, as I always am. Whether it's insurance issues, whether it's other wildland issues, my job is to be an advocate and a tie-in to this team to make sure everything is done according to what we think should be done properly. Now, they're the experts. They bring in a ton of experts. They give me a ton of information. We get together as a group, and we come to an agreement on what's the best fit given the circumstances. Now, before I get the history on when this started, the day it started, I do have to tell you, I have told them, I have told the firefighters at briefing, we cover 375 square miles in this fire district. If you were to pick the absolute worst 3 square miles to have a fire out of that 375, this was it. All right? This is tough. I've actually, a little while ago, but I've hiked up there in the past. There's crevices, there's canyons, there's steep drop-offs. Matter of fact, if you haven't been out there or you're unfamiliar, there's a little crevice, I'm trying to remember, right in here, that they actually do rock climbing classes and stuff like that in the summer times. So that's how rough this territory is. Our number one concern is our residents and their properties, but really close behind that are the firefighters' safety as well. Not only ours, and we're familiar with that area, but we've got firefighters from all over the place. I was just communicating with a young lady. This was her first fire ever. She lives in Texas. So that's how far we've had resources come up, and I know we've got some from further away as well helping this team out. So Saturday, excuse me, it's been busy. It's just been busy. We're on a record pace for July. We set a record for call volume in June. The incident management teams, the local ones, we have 3 teams. We've been dispatched out 5 times now, which is, this point in July is really up there for that volume. So it ties in with Matt's weather and the previous lead up to what's going on. But I also want it to be a very firm understanding. We got the rest of July, August, and September to go. Last year, I was out the earliest I ever was on an incident management team, and that was in June. And I was out the latest I've ever been on an incident management team last year, and I got home, I think it was October 10th. This season's much worse, much busier at this particular point. So that's got to play in there. Now, with those increasing conditions, 4th of July, the red flag warnings, the near red flag warnings, we've done our severity staffing. He talked about the Friday before this came in, the higher winds, the warmer temperatures, the low RH. We did severity staffing. We, too, thought Saturday, Sunday, Monday was going to be a nice little break. I might get a couple days off in there that I've not been able to get. But, again, it's this area. The forecast for 9 Mile Falls is always going to be different than this area out here. It's going to be hotter, it's going to be drier, and it's going to be windier. And if you guys remember the Wicked Road Fire last year, it was 700 acres. The reason we had trouble grasping that initially and the aircraft had trouble initially was because of the swirling winds in that area and through Corkscrew Canyon Road. So all this kind of comes into play as we move into Saturday. I get home Saturday from a fire assignment. I was over on Davenport helping another team. I thought, oh man, I'm going to have about 4 days off until the weather starts to turn back up. I run to Spokane. I'm like, let's go to dinner. We go to the Asian place there in Northern Quest. I get a phone call. Hey, check out what's going on. Run back. We got the call, I think at about 3:20. Our crews go out there, immediately saw the original fire start, which was over here. They immediately called, said it jumped the highway. The resident here said it jumped her house, got in behind her barn, hit that ridge, and off it went. So we have terrain, we have wind, we have low humidity values. Those are not the things you want to line up on a day like that. So I get out there. My guys were busting their butts out in the field. They said, Chief, as soon as you get here, take command. I tied in with DNR. Fortunately, Tim Love, who's very familiar with this area for DNR, was there. We tied in together. We started talking about resources. Probably not, well, one issue we did have is lack of cell service down there. So we couldn't do our updates on our Facebook page. We couldn't call out very well. Fortunately, one of our volunteers had a Starlink Mini. We also have a Starlink Mini that's on loan from the Stevens County Libraries to use, which is super nice. Once we got that set up, we got things moving. I was able to get hold of the state EOC. I requested state mobilization, which sends multiple strike teams in our way. Through the relationships I've built over the 15 years here, I got calls from the upper echelon of State Mob to make sure we were going to get the resources we needed. They were a little short because of the fire in the southwest part of the state along the Columbia. Took 9 strike teams. We did get 3, but they called them heavy because they added additional resources to them, and that's working out well for us as we speak today. Matter of fact, one of those resources is on that night crew that's going to be heading out in a little bit. We also made the decision at that particular point in time, when it was about 500 and some acres, to call in a Type 3 incident management team. Unfortunately, that was my team that I'm normally assigned to, so I couldn't actually help them set up. But I did start taking over the logistics section on Monday and Tuesday as part of the transition to this good team here. And so I've transitioned back to just being the agency rep and fire chief. I'll still take on some calls that come in along with the crews, but I've been working down here really close with these folks. There's a lot going on. I do want, Jacob, you want to flip that for me real quick? You said the map?
Oh, yeah.
Right
behind you, Chief.
It's this one.
Yeah.
I thought it was this one. So I do, just as a reminder for everybody, I think most of you are aware of this map. So this is the Lake Spokane fire, Ford Corkscrew Dinosaur fire right there. In 2014, we had a different Lake Spokane fire, and what is not showing on this map is the 2015 fire that rolled up from Rail Canyon up along Highway 231. We did have some other fires in the past. Carpenter Road never came into the fire district, but we worked very hard to do that. And for some of you that may question firing operations, burnouts, whatever you want to call them, Carpenter Road, we probably did about 10 square miles of firing operations to keep the fire out of the fire district. So those become a very important tool as well. I don't have anything else at this particular point. If you have questions afterward, be more than happy to help them or help you out along with the rest of the group. So we will turn that over to Adina Sellers, who's our county emergency manager. Fortunately, her and I work really well together. I do want to introduce one person real quick, Georgia Davenport, fire commissioner for the fire district. She helps me make my job easier and allows me to do a lot of this stuff. So here's Adina.
Thank you, Mike. So yes, I am your director of emergency management. I see some of you look as tired as I do. You may remember we've got a little bonfire going on up north. July 8th, we had the Hope Fire start. And I was super thrilled because July 19th was my first day off. So I was at Fire District 5 at an open house, and Mike decided to show off. And so now I'm down here. So emergency management, we are a department of one. This is it. This is all you get. It's just me. I'm behind the Facebook page, the web pages. When you end up getting a hyperreach, hands raised, who knows what hyperreach is? Good. There's a lot more hands than there was in Northport. So hyperreach is our emergency alert notification system. Most of the time I send out those alerts. Otherwise, it's coming out of dispatch. Usually if it's in all caps, it's coming out of dispatch. Me, I usually have time to make lowercase, uppercase, punctuation, that type of thing. So we help handle the evacuation levels. And so you understand evacuation levels kind of go in a series. So we have our first emergency. We have no idea what's going on. We know there's a fire. We know it's rapidly growing. And unfortunately, when we look at the fire, it doesn't look like this to us. We've got Mike rolling up on scene. We deploy all of our deputies. We start driving down roads. Deputies start going, I see smoke here, I see flames here. We start trying to track it, and then we draw circles and ovals and just tell everybody get out of the area because we don't know where is safe. Once we have a moment to sit down, come back, and we start hearing from the firefighters, we start hearing from the deputies, then I sit down with the chief and I look at his area and I go, okay, what are our problem areas? If the fire hits here, where's it going to run? Where do we know that we have high populated areas? Where do we know that we have people with ag? And we sit down and we start to look at that and we start to draw out the evacuation map. So we got a lot of critiques on our evacuations this time because Mike and I sat down and decided we didn't want to jump you guys back and forth. That is the one thing we do not like to do, is it's confusing enough if you get a notice and it says evacuate now, and then suddenly you get a notice and, well, never mind, you're fine. And then, oh no, evacuate now, and then you're like, what is going on? And it's like, well, the fire was going this way, and then the winds changed thanks to the weather. Now it's going this way. So when we sit down, we strategically try to think, we don't know exactly what this fire has decided to do yet. We know the ridges it can climb. We know the ridges it's currently climbing. And based off of that, if it gets on that ridge, where's it going to go? So that is kind of when we start to draw out our level 2s and our level 3s. Seldom into the fire do we do a level 1. Because in all honesty, guys, if you can't tell there's wildfire smoke outside, you guys probably need to pay attention to your surroundings a little bit more. That's all level 1 is supposed to tell you. Level 1 is supposed to be like, there's a wildfire in the area. Usually by day 2, 3, 5, 9, 12, like I am in the Hope Fire, you should know there's a wildfire. So level 1 and level 2, we do like to end up keeping those then for a series of days. Sometimes, like in the Hope Fire, it wasn't until 2-3 days ago I finally could take level 3 off the map. Hope is a unique fire because it burned out on the outside and we managed to save a lot of homes on the inside. It was really hard to tell people they could come back home because they're completely surrounded by a raging wildfire. So in a lot of cases when people start to wonder, well, hey, they said the lines look really good. Well, the fire doesn't necessarily look like this. A lot of times there's some nice green spots inside, and when those green spots are still there, we still need this to be red because we don't want people to go in, get stuck, get stranded. And so that's kind of our whole evacuation thing. So Mike was talking about his 300 square mile area. I have 2,400 square mile area, and emergency management, we're all about the mitigation, the response, and the recovery. And we're heavy on the recovery. So that's just a little bit I want to dab in tonight. If you guys have been affected at all, there is a QR code on the back table, some survey information. All of that is to collect and try to help you guys get on the recovery part. And I'm already focused on recovery because recovery, we all watch the Gray Fire, we all watch Spokane go through this. Recovery is the hardest part. And so on that QR code, you're going to be able to answer if you were a business impacted. If you were, we can get you hold of the state, we can get Tri-County Economic Development, we can get some connections in there. It's going to ask you if you have pasture land, ag. We can get you connected with the conservation district. It's going to ask if you have timberland. Are you going to need salvage? Do you need to talk to a forester? We have DNR. We have connections. We can get you trees. We can get you seed. We have to collect that information though. So the survey's out there just asking if you've been affected in any way. You can quickly scan the QR code on your phone, just give us a response and let us know. Don't want to forget anything. Oh, and then the very last, timing wasn't ideal. I was right in the middle of building an app for Stevens County, and this hit. So my launch date has been pushed back a few weeks. But we are going to have an app, so you'll be able to find it on your Android, on your Apple phone, and it'll be called Stevens County Connect. And essentially, you'll be able to have resources like this. So one of the things you may have noticed this time is we are trying to put an advisory map on the website. Because the way our emergency alert system works is it just tells you, hey, you need to leave now. It doesn't send you a map. It doesn't have that capacity to send you a map. And so on our Stevens County website, we've built an interactive map. You can type in your address, you can look at it, you can see where you are in the evacuation zones. It also highlights all the fires that are going on. You can look at other people's evacuation zones if you're nosy. You can check everything out on that app. That will be linked in with this app. And then the sheriff will have a page, the health district will have a page, I'll have a section. But it'll hopefully make it easier to access information, because we do understand we're rural, we don't have a regular TV station, we don't have a daily newspaper, we barely have a radio station that covers most of the county. We kind of have something that covers south, we kind of have something that covers north. So we're hoping that the Stevens County Connect app can kind of help you guys stay in touch with information. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Like Jacob said, my name is Pat Ryan. I'm DNR's regional manager for this part of the state. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. As you may have seen through the presentations you already had, some of them things I was going to talk about, so I won't get deep into that. You don't need to hear it again. But you've probably noticed a process here. We had our local forces first. We had DNR engines here and crews, and we had the fire service, Mike's folks that were here, and other resources. They quickly, well, take it back a minute. I went up to the Hope Fire with Tim Love, who you heard about him a little bit earlier. He's our assistant region manager for our wildfire program. He and I went up that day up to Hope to take a look at it, to get a feel for what was going on there. I got back about 1:32, maybe 2:30, whatever it was. I stepped outside to talk to somebody about some fuels reduction work I wanted to do for them. I didn't take my phone, and usually this thing is stuck to my hip 24/7. I wasn't outside for 15, maybe 20 minutes, and I came back in, and I had a text already that this fire was 20 acres. And it's like, oh, gee. So I'm listening. Within 20 minutes after that, Tim said, yeah, we're probably looking at 150 acres. We need to look at, we're not going to be able to hold this. So that's when it went to the Type 3 team that was mentioned. And it was great. Some of those people got there that night to start getting embedded, see what's going on. And they took the fire the next morning at 10 o'clock. Their operations people immediately got up on the hill, saw what was going on, trying to figure out, can we, with the resources that we have, handle this fire? And to their credit, they said, no, we really can't. And that's when it was time to pull in the big guns. This team that you have here now, Northwest 2, that they have more horsepower because they have more resources, more people to help out. And so that's what we did, and the system worked really well. When we made that decision, I think it was less than 2 hours, and they were ordered. And immediately some of their team members got up here. And this is what they do. They get in here to help out, right? And so what was nice was the Team 3 that was here did a wonderful job of setting them up well. They'd already had some orders in for more resources to get in here to help out. And they set them up real well, and then Team 2 took it over, and they've been aggressive with this fire, which is what we need. They're doing the right thing. They're trying to protect your homes. They're trying to put as little fire on the ground as they can, but they have to do what they have to do, and that's why you saw the burnout. I want to thank our DNR folks, the fire service, Chief Busey's folks for what they did. They spent a lot of hours out there. That's a lot of hard work, and as you all know, this is not easy ground to work in, right? I want to thank the Type 3 team, Team 2, for coming in and having the wherewithal to realize, you know what, this is more than what we can do. And then, of course, Northwest Team 2. One of the things I want to let you know, though, is like you heard Adina talk about, there's post-fire things that need to be done, right? So once you know, everything's kind of taken care of there, you're going to have some timber that's burned. What are you going to do with that? There's salvage operations that are going to happen. There's tree planting. There's maybe some grass seeding. So DNR has some programs to help with that. So I asked Eric Keller, he's in the back right there, and he has some handouts for anybody that would like. He's our Forest Practices District Manager. I'm going to guess that some of you have never done any logging before or gone through that process. So he has some handouts with some websites to where to go, some phone numbers. We can get some people to help you out with that. Also, there's some numbers on there to help out with some grass seeding. We think we're going to get funding. I don't know yet. They're still working on budget, and we all know what the budget's looking like for the state of Washington. But with some legislation that came through a few years ago, they started giving us some money that we never had before to help people after a fire comes through. And so some of that will be some grass seed for some of the skid trails that are there, so you can get them down, so it'll help with weeds and things of this nature, right? And also, we've, in the last 2 years, I think we've planted 130 or 140,000 trees we've helped people with to help get their stands regenerated. So we have some help we can help you with. Take advantage of that. We'll do what we can. And once again, I just want to thank you for coming and joining us today, and we'll certainly be around for any questions that you'd like to ask. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. So we have one more speaker here, and that's Glenn Lockwood here with the American Red Cross. So Glenn, tell us about your program.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Jacob. And thank you for being here today. And to our Department of Emergency Management, who we work closely with, Fire District 1. We don't want to see a lot of you, but unfortunately we do. When the fire started, our first responsibility was to set up a shelter. It's in this building. It happened on the day of the fire, and we have continued to be here and staff this facility. Thank goodness, in many ways, that not many people have come. That tells us that they've had family or friends that they've been able to stay with. And I can tell you, I think we run a pretty good shelter, but it doesn't beat staying with friends and family. And there's a great level of support and comfort when that happens. But we're here, and we will be here until the levels of evacuation change, and that has limited us, and it has limited you. We respect those levels of evacuation, especially when we're dealing with the level 3 evacuation. We respect it. We listen to our partners in fire, incident command, and as soon as that is lifted, we are going to be able to send out our assessment teams in cooperation with emergency management and incident command to assess those facilities or homes, structures that have been adversely affected by the fire. And when that happens, our teams are out, we will then let you know through Adina and emergency management where an assistance center is going to be set up, where we're going to be able to meet with homeowners and what we call clients to assess your needs and be able to provide some financial assistance to help in the immediate recovery for you after the fire, so you can return as quickly as you can to a more normal, stable life. We are told that there's not a high loss of homes, but even one home is too many. And so that's how we see it, and that's how we will work with you to make this happen. If there's any concerns or questions, I'll be here as well to answer if you have any more. And Jacob, I'll give it back to you.
Thanks, Glenn. I had a question for the audience. Anybody following this fire on Facebook? Following some of the stuff? Okay. Seeing all the digital imagery coming from the field and what's going on? Well, I want to point out these two PIOs in the back, and that's Isabel and Angel, a couple of your locals here, and they're doing a great job of keeping you all informed. Also Chief Busey as well, keeping us informed too. So we're here to build upon that information as well and make sure that you understand what we're doing out there. But thanks a lot. So I just wanted to point those two out in the back. And so thanks all the presenters. And now we have about 15 minutes for 20 minutes for question and answer. So, it looks like we had the first question over here.
Just real quick, any information on origin of the fire? What's the containment like? When can I go home?
Okay, so his question was any information on the cause of the fire, containment percentage, and when can he go home? So we're going to ask one of our panel members. Why don't we start with the containment with Walt? Do you want to come up and we'll start the containment first.
So anyway, the containment, we've got 16% is what we're saying the fire is for containment. We've got line around it. It's not as secure as we like to be able to say containment. And the containment part is we're sure we're going to hold it. We've got a lot of line out there. There's still a lot of heat out there, a lot of stumps, a lot of rolling debris. And so until we can get that secured, we're not going to call it contained. So, but we're at 16%.
Okay, and the cause of the fire, I'm going to ask if any of our agency administrators here want to go there.
But not enough information to release yet.
Okay, still under investigation. Cause is not yet being released. And then in terms of the evacuation levels, we're going to ask Adina that question.
Are you in the RV outside? Yes. Yeah, it's going to be a hot minute before you get home. You're close to the fire line. I looked up your address. Yeah, you're right next to it. What I have to say is later tomorrow after the heat of the day and everything and the fire, we're going to look at it and we're going to look at reassessing and hopefully changing lines on Saturday. But it's going to be shrinking in areas, but you're really close to the fire line. So for you, yeah, I'm going to need more from them about that containment thing. For everybody else, what you might see is our level 2s may be able to completely disappear. And what we're hoping is our level 3s will either shrink some or change. So we still need to sit on the fire a little bit more.
So the individuals next to the freeway, and would you like to take some of that, Chief Busey?
Yeah, so just to give you a little history how this comes upon us, and Adina did a good job earlier, but for this fire specifically, we had our command post down here, fire started here, jumped across, did its thing. I have to get on the radio and call dispatch and say, I need you to do this side of 291 and try to give them some guidance as to where it goes along with Adina. The next morning, Adina, I think we sat down with my incident management team's GIS. I like to see more defined roads as the borders on those. So we did choose level 2 all the way around here because we weren't sure where this was going to go dependent on the weather. Fortunately, it's kind of kept this for a little bit. And obviously level 3 is where the residences are. This gets evaluated, we talk about it on a daily basis, but we're not anxious to drop it because, as Adina said earlier, we don't want to drop it and go, oops, back up and confuse people. So we did talk today. We are going to, and here was my concern today, and same with the operations folks and everybody else involved. We had these spot fires. We had a little bit of slop over. which means a little bit of fire creeping, nothing great. But until we don't see those, I'm not comfortable telling you guys you can go back. I want to make sure you're safe. That's my job, right? For those of you along the highway that we lost a couple structures in there. Those are still under assessment. It looks like you can go back, but there's still a couple variables out there. All right? So we are definitely going to look at this tomorrow and hopefully make some sort of commitment as to where we can go next with that. But we want to be sure we don't want to guess, if that makes sense. That answer your question? Okay. Keep an eye on Saturday, though.
Okay.
Yes.
Question for the chief? Where's the sheriff at was the question.
He's an elected official in Colville. His deputies were out and about. He authorized the boats to come down to the water. I don't keep his schedule. He doesn't keep mine.
I can speak to that too, though. So I talked with Brad, and he needed to know if he needed to come down. They have a different situation that took off this afternoon, and so he's handling that. But Brad was well aware the community meeting was going on. He tried to get another deputy down here, but unfortunately, fire isn't their thing. They have, domestic abuse and other things, and so they're handling that right now, so he couldn't make it. But I will say what we've been finding on these fires over and over is it is invaluable. Our deputies, they all rally. Even Border Patrol gets on, shoots down, and it's door-to-door knocking. So
Their response was phenomenal. It's like I was at dinner. My guys responded, right? Same with Brad. We can't always be in our seats at that particular point in time. And to add to that, when the sheriff knew he couldn't staff his boat on Monday, Fish and Wildlife stepped in and did that tour as well. So they work just as well together with their partners that we do, and that intersects. And part of that intersection ends up on emergency management's heels as well. So just because they're not here doesn't mean they don't care or they were super involved right away.
Absolutely, I realize that.
That's fine.
I feel like they should have a representative here. Maybe you can answer the question. And my other question is, the media
let's hear it.
continues to say that there's been only one primary structure loss. Is that correct?
So the media is saying there's only one primary structure lost. Would anybody want to take that? I know there's a structural assessment happening now, and when we get more information, we will release that when we can. Yeah. Okay, the Red Cross said there were 3 homes lost. And if anybody wants to take that, I believe that operations, Walt can talk about that.
Yeah, so our process is we just got in a guy that's going to be out there doing the fire assessments and letting us know. We've been actively taking the perimeter on and not going inside a whole lot except for mop up. We've got divisions that have been in looking at some stuff. But we've got a gentleman here today. He's out there driving around, looking, counting, taking pictures, photos, doing that fire assessment on the structures, and collecting all that data. Tomorrow we'll have a second person out there, and so we're going to have 2 folks running around every part of this fire to be able to answer those questions.
Do you feel complete with that? Okay. We have 2 here. We'll go. Yes, ma'am?
Yes, I have been here since 2011 and have lived through 2 fires. Okay. 2 fires. One was the Ford fire and this one. And the Ford fire got within 3 miles of my home. And is this fire following the same route that the Ford fire did?
Okay, it sounds like maybe Chief Busey with some local knowledge here, and we'll go to the fire history map.
Yeah, so we have the fire history map. Here's our little dinosaur, the Ford Corkscrew. This is the current fire. We also had the Lake Spokane fire, but we also had the Rail Canyon fire that worked its way up this way. So it was kind of heading towards where that was at. And if it would have spread this way, fortunately we don't have that many eastern winds in the summertime, but it could have bumped up that way. It was actually heading towards the bump here. And, you know, in one way, fortunately it didn't get that far, but if it did, it would have been okay. We were just afraid the southwest winds would have squeezed it through here and kept it going. These guys did a phenomenal job of getting it surrounded, and so we have the footprint we have. You know, for you folks over here, because what's not on here is the Wicked Drive fire that was August of last year as well, which was 700 acres. This one was, trying to see, this one was the 14,000 acres. This was 1,000 acres, 16,000 acres. 2,400. So that number is going to fluctuate as they shore up those lines. It could go up a little bit. The mapping's really good now. Yeah. Yeah, so that's where we're at this particular point.
Thanks, Chief Busey. We had one more question over here, then we'll come to you. What's that, ma'am? I'll repeat it when you...
Well, I don't really have a question, but I'm Elizabeth Cox, and we live at mile marker 25 on Highway 291. And I want to say I am humbled and so grateful for the dedication, the expertise, the knowledge, and the caring, and the courage of every single ground person that has protected our home and protected our little valley. They have been amazing. They are my heroes, and I am forever indebted to them.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So she expressed gratitude to all the firefighters. Thanks for those kind words. This gentleman over here.
I just want to know if there's going to be a burn area recovery plan done, at what point, if so, what point will you bring the team in, and what will be the opportunities for the community to interact with them?
So the question is, will there be a burned area recovery team, and when will that happen, and what opportunities will they offer to the community? Is that correct? To interact with them. Okay. And does anybody want to take the bear question? Okay, so we have Pat Ryan, DNR, coming up to answer that.
So the bear teams are associated with federal fires, and this is not a federal fire. DNR does not have a bear team. It is something legislatures talked about, but at this point we do not have that. But we do have some of the resources, like I mentioned earlier, that Eric has some handouts, and who's standing in the back, and he will be here. And I believe, Adina, you were talking about some potential, possibly.
So that's why we're asking for that is exactly why we started the survey, because we have the same problem in Northport. There's a lot of rockside roads damage, county roads damaged, and you don't always get a bear team. No federal land, no bear team, which means we have to kind of make our own bear team. And so in the past, people have kind of scattered and they've independently done things, which is why we're really trying to put this survey out, so that if you fill out the survey and you let us know what you've lost, we can kind of work together. We can have a community meeting. People that have damaged properties can come together, talk, discuss, and then we'll get you in partnership with DNR, with the Conservation District, and with those entities that can group purchase trees, that can get grass seed. We can work on fences that have maybe been damaged, that type of thing. Stevens County, also I sat down with our waste management director, and if you fill out the survey and I have your information, you will have a golden ticket for wildfire debris, so you will be able to take that into the landfill free of charge. But I have to have your information so that I can give you the golden ticket so that you can utilize that. But we are trying to do whatever we can to help during rehab so that you're just not left there alone trying to figure it out. And the waste manager wanted me to be very clear of no mixed loads. People will be looking at your load. This is no mixed loads. It is not half garbage and half wildfire debris. It is not a friend who has some wildfire debris for the rest of your debris to go. No mixed loads, but all wildfire will be accepted by Stevens County.
Thanks, Adina. We have time for one more question. Due to time constraints, we'll answer one more. But before that, I would like to say that I just received notification that there are damage survey and other links in the comments on the recording here in Facebook. So this will be recorded, and you can go back and look through the comments, and you will be able to find some of the information you're asking. So we have time for one more. Yes, ma'am. So the question was, what can we do as a community to help the firefighters, to help serve them? Well, you know, with that, I could probably take some of that, unless, Chris, do you want to?
I do want to take this one. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate that. Our firefighters are well taken care of, but we do appreciate community support. We do appreciate the signs that we received. We've got, I forget, Jacob, was there roughly 50, 60 cards that the kids put up? There's 300. 300. Let's see, there we go. 300 cards that the kids, toddlers to teenagers. So that was greatly appreciated. But we also had the chaplain, the sheriff's, chief's chaplaincy. They brought out their, golden angels, therapy dogs. And they came out to the camp today, and we all got to pet dogs. We all love dogs. We all wanted to pet them. So those are those things that we appreciate, and we appreciate the support that the communities do. But I'm gonna just get on my soapbox here a little bit and talk about what you can do as a community is prepare yourselves for wildfire. And I say that because we talked about the preparedness that's needed to protect homes in the WUI interface, wildland and urban interface. There's a lot of programs out there for landowners to participate in. There's the Wildfire Ready Neighbors program. There's the fuel reductions programs that DNR has, Firewise. Those are those things that you as a community can do, band together and help protect your homes so that they're not impacting and so that we have less large fires. And when we take the homes out of play in wildfire, it makes our job a lot easier. So if you wanted to do something as a community, that's what you could do for the firefighters, is ready yourselves. Thank you.
So we have time for one more comment from Chief Busey, and then we'll be around for individual, to talk to you all individually for a while. Then we have to get going. But here's our last.
I promise I'll be quick. He's like. So first off, I want to thank PNW Team 2 that's here, that's hosting this town hall, that's managing this fire. I thought I was going to be able to step away and go back to my fire chief duties and play with my dogs, but they're keeping me busy. They're keeping me informed so we can keep you guys informed so we can make the right decisions for you. So they deserve a ton of credit for being here, assembling as fast as they did, getting the crews out there on an enhanced and complex incident. This is the worst place you could have a fire, like I said. The last thing is, I want to say thank you to the community. You guys are super supportive, not only of Fire District 1, but all our visiting firefighters that are here as well. They see it and they notice it. This is what makes this community great. I've been here for 15 years as your fire chief. And there's a reason I've stayed that long. It's because of you folks and the support we get from you as well. If you need anything, I'm here, Adina's here, this team is here, my fire commissioner's here. We thank you, and thanks for coming. It's great. If we hit 75, I'm really happy because I said we'd get about 75 folks too. So thank you.
All right, one more comment.
My comment is thank you very much for standing in my friend's backyard right now. You guys are all lined up in the back of her yard, which faces the mountain that's coming down in her yard. She couldn't be here today, so I'm here for her.
Well, thank you. Just want to say thank you all for coming, and that'll conclude our meeting, but we'll be around. Feel free to come up to any of us and ask questions. We're here for you. So thanks a lot. Appreciate your attendance.